welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Footy GameDay Squad show. I'm your host, Cal, and today I've got Kerm and Tom as we look to break down everything that was fantasy in round one. Guys, what does it feel like to have a team that won in round one?
Oh, it feels good. It's a rare feeling for a Suns fan to win in round one, so especially in West Coast at West Coast. So very happy with round one for us.
Yeah, mate. From my understanding, it's the first time you've gone there and won, which is huge for the club. Great step in the right direction. As a Swans fan, mate, felt great. The Sydney Derby, GWS, obviously a strong team and have been for the past couple of years, and they've gotten us in some bloody close finals. So it felt good to get one up on them for one time.
Yeah, you were at that game. You got me very excited. You're at the game seeing the Swans do the thing, and I was off to the Port game, and Port did not deliver for me. I was just saying off air to Kerm, I still close my eyes and I saw Lear flipping over himself. But I hope he gets well. But we're not here to talk about footy. We're here to talk about fantasy. So this is our first review of the season, of course. So how we're going to start this off is we're going to start off hearing what everyone got right and what everyone got wrong for round one. So who wants to kick us off with what they got right and wrong?
I'll kick us off. Right, the Suns actually did beat the Eagles in the Battle of the Coasts, and albeit the Suns beat a D-team West Coast squad, but points are points for the Suns. We'll take them where we can. And wrong, I'm happy to be wrong with this. Michael Voss pretty much just told me to go stick it where the sun doesn't shine, and what a way to start his newest tenure as a senior head coach than to break a decade-long curse with defeats against Richmond in this fixture for 10 years. So really good result for Carlton without Sammy Walsh, and Michael Voss will be sitting pretty. He's not around next week. I think he's out with COVID, so whatever happens next week doesn't matter to him. But Michael Voss, good on you.
Nice.
Yeah, great. And let me get into mine. What I got right, I got Joe Danaher right and how much he has left in the tank still. I was pretty bullish on him in the preseason, and I said that I didn't think we had seen the best of Joe Danaher yet in this system. Obviously, it moved clubs. He was a force on the weekend, taking contested grab after contested grab, kicking 4 goals throughout the contest, and honestly, he should have had 5. Callum, you said you were there. I'm not sure what your reaction would have been to him handballing it off on the siren when they're right in front of goals, mate. Tell me, what was going through your head there?
Yeah, so that happened right in front of me as well. And I knew what happened straight away. I heard the siren, I heard him handball it, and all the Lions fans are cheering, didn't realise what was going on. And one of them actually turned to me and was like, "Why are you cheering?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't know, do you?" So, yeah, that was, a high point for the game for me, I think that. But, Danaher did kill us.
Yeah, so pretty much to wrap that up, he was outstanding. Great game from him. Looked really strong. What was I wrong about? I was wrong about tipping St Kilda to be a top 8 team this year. Now, don't get me wrong. It's early days. There's no time to panic. It's round one. But if there is a team not to lose to in the AFL this year, it's the Collingwood Magpies. And unfortunately, that is exactly what happened in round one this week. They had a very favourable matchup, I thought. Didn't play out like that. Honestly, their midfielders did not look great throughout. They were struggling to win contest after contest. Definitely need to see something better from them moving forward if they want to crack the top 8. But again, it's early days. I still have belief in that prediction, but not a good way to start it off. That's for sure.
Not at all. And not to call anyone out, but Jack Higgins had an all-time stinker against Collingwood. He missed some goals that really should have gone in and mattered at the time. So, yeah, not a good look for Saners fans. They really wanted that one in round one.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, absolutely. They definitely wanted that one. But Callum, what about you? What were you right and wrong about this week?
Yeah, so no surprise, I am right about Patrick Cripps. I have been so high on him on the preseason. You guys know I put him down for my Brownlow for season prediction show. I've purchased all the land on Patrick Cripps Island. At the moment, I'm looking like a bit of a genius with it. So he was outstanding, and the Blues were outstanding on the back of him. So massive goals when they needed to step up. They weren't sort of cheap goals. Every time he scored a goal, it was at a big moment. And yeah, you just saw the way he goes in around that, winning that contested footy. And yeah, he's going to be, if the Carlton's going to do anything this year, it's going to be on his back. So definitely right about that. He finished with 137 Game Day Squad fantasy points. So as you guys know, I said he'd get 125 in our lock of the week in the preview show. So we'll touch on that when we get to our preview show a bit later in the week, but I'm excited to talk about that. But of course, Game Day Squad, we are talking about Game Day Squad points because that's why we're here. Game Day Squad's a brand new fantasy sport platform built completely on the blockchain. So we're really excited to be able to release that hopefully very, very soon. We've had a few delays that have meant we've missed round one, but don't worry guys, we are so close. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully this time next week, everyone will be on our platform playing. Someone who didn't get much of a chance to play was Josh Ward. So he was what I got wrong this week. So I said he was going to be the best rookie on the park in the Hawks-Roos game, and I was very wrong. So he only spent 60% of the time on the ground, which is quite low. Had a bit of issues with cramp or ankle or something at the
ankle
end.
Injury,
He only got himself 47 points, which was quite low, particularly when Jason Horne-Francis looked like, fantastic. And I know the commentators were talking him up every time he got the ball. I think they were overdoing it a little bit, but in saying that, he still looked pretty special. So I got that one wrong.
Guys, in the next segment we're going to get into here on the footy show here at Game Day Squad is studs and duds. And as you can probably figure out from the name, we're going to identify some studs in games over the weekend and throughout the week, and duds to give you some better fantasy insight into players that you want to be targeting from particular teams and maybe ones you want to be letting go of. And I believe it starts off with me this week, game one. It was the Demons versus the Bulldogs, the grand final rematch, and what a way to get the season started. But the clear start here is Bailey Smith, the 21-year-old, electric game. 33 disposals, 20 kicks, 13 handballs, 7 marks, 11 tackles. And had one behind. So if that was a goal, it would have been even better. Shout out to Christian Petrarca, though. He nearly took it out, but just didn't have a game as good as Bailey Smith, in my opinion. So I had to give him as the stud of the game. For duds, this was a tough one, but I've gone with Tom Liberatore. He had 14 disposals, 8 kicks, 6 handballs, 4 marks, and 4 tackles. Nothing in the scoring there as well. I had Bailey Fritsch down as well for the Demons as maybe their dud. Kicked 2 goals though, but just didn't get involved elsewhere, up the ground or even inside 50. So looking for him to get some more pill next game, and maybe his fantasy production can increase from there.
Bailey Smith, a stud in more than one way.
Yes, stay tuned.
Hey, you said it, not me.
A bit later. I've got the next game. I've got the Carlton-Richmond game, which was great backup to the night before. Didn't disappoint, and a surprise stud. Matthew Kennedy. Where did he come out of? 169 game day squad points he would have got. He was outstanding. 19 kicks, 14 handballs, and just loved getting his hands on the footy against the Tigers. So he was my stud of the week. Honourable mention, of course, to Paddy Cripps, who I said dominated. He finished with 137 game day squad points, and I had to throw Sam Doherty in there because even though he got 112 points, I think everyone thinks he's a stud for what he's done. So well done to him, and the Blues dominating that.
Special. That goal,
questionable
so
50,
special.
but I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll allow it. With my dud, though, I went to Trent Cotchin. He was very, very quiet. And someone that I have been sort of, from a fantasy point of view for a while, sort of been ready to rub off. So him getting 51 game day squad points kind of, showed me that maybe that is the way that we should be looking at him. He only had 14 touches for the whole game and really had no impact. So yeah, he was my dud. The other one I had down was Jack Rewalt. Again, same sort of story, 42 points, kicked a goal or two, but again, couldn't find the footy. So yeah, rough night for the Tigers.
Absolutely. And I had the next game here, which was St Kilda versus Collingwood. Collingwood actually ended up edging out the St Kilda Saints here after a strong comeback.
Still can't believe
it. Yeah, God. St Kilda should have put this one away. But my stud of the game was Paddy Lipinski, who's a new recruit for Collingwood. 30 disposals, 5 marks, 4 tackles, and he had 139 GDS points to go with that. But Nick Dacos, the rookie, looked completely comfortable at AFL level. He had a few touchy disposals early on, but he still had the 27 touches. His effectiveness by foot got better as the game went on, and he's going to be an absolute stud for a very, very long time. As for the duds,
can I jump in? I just wanted to say shout out to the Keeper League podcast. If anyone's ever listened to them or followed them, if you're watching this and you're into your footy, I'm sure you have. But they did it funny as video of Paddy Lipinski on Twitter. So go check it out if you haven't seen them. They've got some great stuff over there as well. But yeah, go check out that video. It's quite good.
Absolutely, friend of the
It's all I can hear ringing in my head now as you mentioned him.
Yeah, we love to keep a link here at GDS. Before I move on to the duds, actually, I'll talk about Jack Hayes quickly for Saints, who's become an absolute cult figure at the Saints for just after one game. He was absolutely special with 3 goals. Some really key intercept marks down the wing somehow for a big man. He's going to be one to watch for fantasy, and who knows what he's going to become down the line. But duds, Jack Crisp was absolutely disgusting. He had a lot of CBAs and worked a lot through the midfield, but just could not find the footy at all and only had 61 GDS fantasy points to go with it. And Taylor Adams wasn't good either. Couldn't find the footy a lot like Crisp. He worked his way in and out of the game. He went missing for a long time and long periods. But when he did look hot, he looked on. But yeah, wasn't his game against the Saints.
Yeah, honestly, it was shout out to Brodie Grundy as well, just dominating in the ruck there. And I think that's why the Saints did struggle so much to get the ball outside of their or out of the mids, is because of him. He's just so dominant and can just win every ball up. Ridiculous. But heading into game 4, I've got Geelong versus Essendon. Studs, and he's the definition of a stud. It is Nick Martin. And if you looked at this guy's game that he just had, unbelievable. Let me go through some stats. 27 disposals, 17 kicks, 10 handballs, 10 marks, 5 goals with 0 behind. So kicked perfectly. Couldn't have been better. He only had 4 contested possessions and 89% disposal efficiency in this game. So really just worked the outside really well and was a great link-up player for the team throughout it. So he was my stud.
And on debut too. Crazy. He put it this way. When we did our player cards, which we've got flying around at the moment in testing, we don't actually have a card for him because he joined so late to the season. So what an awesome story. Yeah, really keen to see if he backs it up. But yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's a card that I need, mate. So we need that in. A to the sap. Honourable mention, Tom Hawkins. 17 disposals. Quite funnily enough. 12 kicks, 5 handballs, a tackle, 4 goals and 2 behinds. But couldn't outdo Nick Martin in this one. He's my official stud for the game. But Tommy Hawkins getting involved. Love to see that early on.
That's a huge number.
4 goals early on too. He could have had a really big bag.
Oh, yes. And he just was dominant out there. Unlucky to not get it, to be honest. But Dyson Heppel is my first stud. 15 disposals, 7 kicks, 8 handballs, 4 marks, 2 tackles. Nothing scoring, but he is a defender, so you don't expect that. But just wasn't as involved as I thought he was going to be in this contest. Want to see a little bit more from him moving forward. But on the other side, Tom Stewart. 21 disposals, 18 kicks, 3 handballs, 5 marks, and a tackle. Which doesn't seem like a terrible game, but when you were the top 3 fantasy scorer last year for your team, that's definitely not the level of play that people were expecting from him this week. I'm sure it's going to be just 1 week, get the cobwebs out, round 1, and he'll be flying soon. But he has to be my dud for this one as well.
Not a lot of time spent down back either with the footy. Geelong dominated that game from the get-go. So from that one, we'll
just
see.
shows you how important, that sort of the team and the makeup and how your team goes to what positions and stuff. So, yeah, Tom, I have Game 5, which was the Sydney Derby, the one, of course, you were at screaming along. So, for my star, I could have gone for a few different ones. For my stud of the week, I've actually given it to Isaac Heaney. And he had 145 game day squad points, but it wasn't because he was third top scorer for the game. But I think for so long we've been saying, is Isaac Heaney finally going to get midfield time and going to break through? And he did, and he looked awesome. And I love watching him play. He's one of the best marks in the competition. So if he can back it up with some good fantasy scores, I think he officially becomes loved by everyone in the AFL community, which is great. Honourable mentions, Tim Taranto being another forward as well, 151 game day squad points, and Tom Green, 153, both for the losing Giants, but some big scores for them. On the other side, though, maybe a bit rough, but Lockie Ash, if I which his name there, Yeah, so only 40 game day squad points, and I remember when I spoke about the Giants in the review show last year, I was always saying that there was something missing from him, and I was waiting for him to explode, and just another really poor performance with him where he only got his hands on the footy 8 times, which is when the ball, I just expected him to do a lot better. So he was my official dud of the game. But then I've also thrown it to Lance Franklin. Only 53 game day squad points. A lot of pressure going on him. You guys know I said I don't think he'll score his 1,000th goal till potentially even round 4. So, dud for me there.
Yeah, look, it's fair that you gave it to Lance Franklin, but you could tell being at the ground that the last thing the GWS wanted was the pill in Lance Franklin's hands. They did absolutely everything to make sure that anyone else got it other than Franklin. But yeah, credit to the defender as well. That was just doing a great job one-on-one on him all day. Did not give him an inch. He really had to work for every single possession he had.
And it's pretty tough if you kick 5 goals as a midfielder and you don't even get a mention in my studs. So Lukey Parker, got to throw your name out there
because was huge.
Just didn't have the fantasy output that some of the other guys did. But fantasy first here on Game Day Squads. But unfortunately, he misses out. All right, let's talk about the Port game.
Let's talk about the Port game. And no one wants to be the team who concedes the 1,000 goal against Buddy, and no one wants to be a fantasy team against Dan Houston, who in a week where defenders really, really struggled, Dan Houston really stepped up, and he had 182 GDS fantasy points, went absolutely bang, had 27 kicks in the game. 27 kicks.
I thought that was an error on the big screen.
So did I. So did I. Absolutely massive game and almost spilled him over the line on his own boot. But on the line side, Lachie Neale actually quelled a lot of questions about his midfield time and his usage. He played very well, 31 disposals, which is just normal Lachie Neale work. Had 7 marks and 6 tackles to go with it, so he had a very good game. On the flip side, the duds, there were a couple. Daniel Rich struggled. He didn't look like himself down back, just couldn't find the pill, wasn't getting a lot of kick-in work. So I can see him changing once he gets the kick-ins and starts finding the boot with his usage. Hugh McCluggage really struggled for me. I didn't think he played well at all. He only had the 71 GDS fantasy points and didn't look like himself at all, couldn't find the pill either. And Scott Lycett on the other side as well didn't work his way into the game. They didn't need him. But he didn't find the footy on the ground as much as he usually does. He was still effective in the ruck work, but just couldn't find the pill on the ground. So look for Scott Lycett to bounce back in a big way next week.
Yeah, and I love how you brought up Lachie Neale there. Man, he was really good. Yeah. And we had a lot of questions about him in the preseason. All of that uncertainty, he's really starting to earn some respect. That was a great game from him.
Let's go throw straight to you, Tom. You've got Game 7. You had North versus Hawthorn.
I definitely did. And I would love to put Horne Francis as my stud, but there were some better fantasy outings out there on the day, so I can't do it. But man, I was so close to just doing it anyway. But irrespective, Aaron Hall is my stud of the game. 31 disposals, 26 kicks, 5 handballs, 11 marks, a tackle. It was a close game for the Kangas, but Hall just did so well, and he had a disposal efficiency of 81% throughout. So just finding a target every time nearly it came off his boot or his hand. Well done. Shout out to a guy who, again, we gave a lot of criticism to in the preseason. It's Jack Gunston. 18 disposals, 14 kicks, 4 handballs, 8 marks, a tackle with 3 goals and 4 behinds. He looked awesome. And for someone who didn't get to play a game of footy last year, wow, did he really step up in a really big way. And I really liked what I saw from him out there and how much they were targeting him in the forward line. On to duds. Jaden Stevenson, unfortunately, is my dud in this one. Just didn't get the pill a whole lot.
Yeah.
And look, when you go through the numbers here, you can see why. Only 11 disposals, 6 kicks, 5 handballs, 4 marks, 4 tackles. Look, it wasn't a terrible game. He had 73% disposal efficiency throughout this one, but it's just getting the pill, finding the ball, and getting better usage out of it as well. So, yeah, he definitely needs to step up in that aspect. And a shout-out for duds. It's not really a shout-out, I guess, but it's Chad Wingard. We were big on Chad Wingard, very bullish on him in the preseason. Now, look, he did step up in the final quarter to seal the deal and seal the game, but 11 disposals, 9 kicks, 2 handballs, a mark, 2 tackles, 2 goals. And that's it. Studs and duds for me, done.
Interesting to see Chad Wingard back in the long sleeve jersey. So I only found out Clarko banned it on him. Said, no, you're not allowed to wear that under me. And then Clarko's first game gone. He's got the long sleeve back. So, yeah. I like seeing it. Seeing it. But,
I love a long sleeve,
yeah.
Yes, I agreed. I love it. Love seeing that. It just makes them look like they have more flair, even if they don't. But anyway.
So, I've got game 8, which was the Crows versus the Dockers. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, is this game of the round? And then that got me thinking how lucky we were. We had such an awesome round 1 of footy. So many good games. And you could make the case for quite a few game of the rounds. But this was a really, really good game. And unfortunately, my stud is someone who's so close to having the perfect game. And that was Benny Keys. So Benny Keys, 156 game day squad points. Everyone asked, well, could he back it up after last year? First game in, yes, he could. 24 kicks, 13 handballs, 5 tackles, which we know he loves. And no free kicks against. Remember, I was very early on him saying he was averaging quite high free kicks against. So, yeah, those extra couple of points that he normally misses out on didn't get. But it was that kick that was so close to being the game-winning goal that was punched away on the line at the siren that could have taken him from 156 all the way up to 162 and the game winner. That would have been the perfect sort of round 1 game for him. So, bit disappointing from there, but great win by the Dockers. And Brayshaw was a massive reason why. So 144 game day squad points. He was fantastic. Kind of be
Brayshaw was huge.
A long time. So really good to see him back looking good. So he'll have better games than that, but at 144, still pretty solid. I only could find one dud from this one, and it was Michael Walters. And I know you're big on the get rid of Michael Walters train, Kerm, but only 32 game day squad points and just was very poor. Touched the footy 7 times, just couldn't get into the game. Looks like, a lot of good young players at the Dockers, and unfortunately he just doesn't fit as one of those at the moment. So, yeah, a bit of a shame for him, but yeah, he's my clear dud for the game.
Yeah, it's not a good look for Walters that in round 1. I'm not sure how he's going to build on that. Hopefully he bounces back and becomes the exciting game winner that we've seen in the past. But I'm going to round us off here with game 9, which just so happens to be my Gold Coast boys. That's why I've got the polo on. We got the win against West Coast, and a big part of that was Matty Rao. How good was he? How good was it to watch Matty Rao healthy, confident, great ball usage, gets up forward, laying tackles. It was just so good to see Matty Rao, who got
and
a lot
flying
of
back with the flight of the footy. Flying back with the footy, got cleaned
I literally
up.
thought he was dead.
I thought he was dead too. I'm like, collarbone. Yeah, I thought it was collarbone again, and I'm like, I always catch a flight up to Cairns just to make sure you're all right and can survive that. I don't know you could.
I wouldn't be sitting here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, on top of all of that, Rankin might have been robbed there as well, because maybe you'll get into it and give him a shout out, but
I will.
When I was watching that game,
it's his best game in a Suns jersey by a very, very long way, I think, and it's very promising to see him do it in round 1. The fact he got 23 disposals, I'd love to see what his highest disposal game was before last night. I'll go back and check that. But 23 disposals, working up the ground, and then to kick 4 goals to go with it. That's the ranking we need, and especially with Ben King out, we're going to be leaning on him a lot up front. For the West Coast, though, Andrew Gaff looked like himself.
I wanted to quickly say, myself and Tom were prepping something in behind the scenes for an Isaac Rankin and a take you took, but unfortunately, just with too much going on, we couldn't get it across the line. Sorry, Tom, I couldn't deliver it, but it was going to be a bit of fun with you saying that Isaac Rankin wasn't the guy for the Suns. But yeah, you've survived that early one, but be careful with your rubbish takes.
Oh,
for you as well, Tom. And for you, Tom, as well. So yeah, we'll be watching, seeing if we can make a fool out of someone this year. So yeah, sorry. Give us your West Coast stud.
West Coast stud was Gaff. He looked like himself, 32 touches, 18 kicks, 14 handballs, and 6 marks to go with it. He looked like the accumulator that he was in seasons past, so we'll see Gaff break back into that. In the duds, Nick Nat looked absolutely horrendous. He did well in the ruck contest against Witsy, but just couldn't get it going on the ground like we've known Nick Nat to do in the past. He only had 55 GDS points. And on the Sun side, David Swallow, I'll talk about him later on in the show, but his new defensive roll down back just does not work for him. He misses the midfield. He's not finding the footy as well as he used to, and when he does get it, he's just not that good by foot at all. So we'll talk about him a little bit later on, but David Swallow is my dud for the Suns in that game.
And that does us there, guys. Wrapping up studs and duds for the round.
Alrighty, we're in the final part of the show now, guys. And what we're normally going to have here was we're going to give you an update on the rolling game day squad, all Australian teams. So we'll normally sit down and be like, who are the highest top 6 forwards, top 6 backs, highest 5 midfielders, and highest ruck in their position. Talk about any changes to that team, who's rising, who's falling, to sort of see who's going to be then that best sort of team come the end of the year. But with round 1, we've pretty much covered all the studs, so there was no point, and obviously there's not going to be any changes. So we're going to move on to our final part. And of course, here at Game Day Squad, we are a dynasty game, meaning any of the cards that you own, you keep from season to season. So if you want to go get a player like a Sam Walsh, it means you're going to have him for the next 10 years. So our final game that we're going to play on our review show every week is going to be buy, sell, and hold. So who wants to kick us off for the round 1 buy, sell, hold?
I can kick us off here. For my buy, sell, and hold, I had Josh Rochelle as my buy, and I was really impressed with him. He had 14 disposals, 3 tackles, 5 marks, and kicked a bag to go with it. He looks like an absolute stud for Adelaide, who they're going to rely on to kick goals up front for a long, long time. And for me, I'd be going out to buy him because he had a 123 GDS score, and as a rookie in his first debut game, that's a very good result. My sell, I spoke about him before briefly. Yeah, he was so good. He looked like he was just playing junior footy out there. My sell is David Swallow. His score of 49 GDS points just wasn't that good, and he featured in the studs and duds segments, and he was anything but a stud. His new roll down back, as I said, is off to a shaky start, and I can't see him being a fantasy relevant option again. And my hold is a bit of a tricky one. Jared Berry had a very weird night, and for me, he was best on ground until halfway through the game. At halftime, it felt like he didn't come out of the sheds and just went missing. Couldn't find him. He had... It was really good. I would hold him because he can produce points. We saw that in the first half, but he actually had 0 fantasy points in the third quarter and -1 points in the fourth quarter. So all his points came in the first half. So I would hold him. I'm not sure, to be frank. I didn't do the calculation.
No, you're right. Because now you say it, I didn't think about it, but he was carving us up, but then you're right.
Yeah, he was on an absolute roll. So I would hold him because we've seen he can produce points. I would just watch to see what his role is going to be going forward for the next few weeks and see if he's going to be that consistent player or someone we can't rely on.
Yeah, great little three there. Let me get into mine. Buy. It's a player I mentioned in starts. It's Jack Gunston, and just how involved he was in the forward line and how much they were looking to give him the ball, whether it was one-on-one, through a direct lead. However it was, they wanted to give him the ball and for him to make decisions in the forwards because they know how classy he can be by foot or by kicking goals and finishing some really tidy ones throughout the game as well. He's a player that, a lot of people are still going to be spectacle of because they're not sure, is he still going to be the same player? Is this just going to be a one game? I loved what I saw. I think he's legit this year, and he's a player I'm trying to pick up now before everyone else is on the hype train trying to get him in their rosters as well.
I like that.
Sell, Tom Hawkins. He's the definition of sell high right now. Tom Hawkins had a fantastic game. He was dominant, taking big marks, kicking huge goals. And we saw the disposals as well, nearly getting to 20. Tommy Hawkins getting up and around the ground. What a game, but that is not something that is going to be sustainable for Tom Hawkins throughout the season, especially getting that involved within their offense of the team. So I'm trying to sell high right now, getting the absolute best value I can for Tom Hawkins. And that's why I have him there. Not because he had a bad game, because it's great value to sell him. Hold. And I mentioned this kid before. I want to mention him again. Jason Horne Francis. And I don't need to tell anybody to hold this kid because if you have a single part of you that wants to drop him, just don't listen to it. Do not. Yeah. He is that guy. You just heard the roar of the crowd every time he touched the ball. The club is behind him. All the fans are behind him. He is going to be their best player in the next couple of years. It's just how soon will it happen? Will it be this year? Will he take the reins, or is he going to sort of ease his way into the AFL and eventually become one of these top dogs that we're expecting from him? So he's my hold right now. I don't need to tell anyone that, but I just wanted to shout him out.
Don't get rid of Jason Horne.
Yeah, don't. Or unless you're giving him to me, then get rid of him.
Exactly.
You'll get yourself a job at Fox Sports, Tom. The way you talk about Jason Horne-Francis, you'll fit perfectly with the commentary team. Just never shut up about him. That'd be good.
Mate, I'll send the resume through. We'll see how she goes.
My buy. We said he was a stud. He is a stud. And what amazes me about this guy is he's still only 21, and that's Bailey Smith. So 179 game day squad points was our highest, and I think it's not a case of sell him because he's at the top. I think he's going to be very good for a long time. So, yeah, very rare that we say someone plays better. Also, so I was going to say he plays better than he looks, and he looks pretty good. So, yeah.
And just with him, he's just such an interesting prospect because he's played a couple years now in the AFL, and he's only 21 years old, and he's been playing on a top team, going to the finals every single year, just becoming a well-polished player, getting this experience so early on throughout his career. Like, how many more finals is he going to go to? How many more grand finals is he going to play in?
And Libba playing that midfield, he's very lucky.
Thing.
And
for me, he had a lot of centre bounce attendances. For someone with such a deep, who's playing in such a deep midfield with so much depth, to get so many centre bounce attendances and clearances as he did is a really big testament to him.
Yeah, so big buy from all of us here by the sounds
Love
of
that
it.
pick.
I am selling someone that you said before is a dud, Kerm, and that's Nick Nadanui. He was made to look really average by Jared Witts, and I've got question marks around his body long term as well. So putting our dynasty hats on, if he's not going to perform, and if there's that risk of injury, it's someone I'm getting rid of. I don't want anyone near my team. So big shame. I don't think the Eagles are going to do that well as well this year. So yeah, sorry Nick Nat. My hold, another rookie, opposite to you, Tom. It's Josh Ward. So really tough first outing. And yeah, like we said, he had that sort of ankle issue and just didn't get the game time. So he will have better games than this. I don't think it's panic stations yet. But yeah, make sure you're not selling your Josh Wards on the back of a rookie playing his first game. So yeah,
definitely not panic stations. We're only in round 1. There is such a long season to go, and he's got so much time to prove his worth to us as fantasy managers and coaches, whatever you want to call us, and the fans and the club as well. So I'm with you there, Callum. I'm not worried about him at all. Not in the slightest.
Yeah, if you want to see who we're worried about, stay tuned to our preview show, which will be coming out Thursday night or Friday morning, depending on how good we are at editing, for the preview for the next fantasy round, because we'll do things like hot seat and things like that. So make sure you check out the one that we just had. Still a bit of content leading up for the year, but also make sure you check out that one when we do release it. So, Tom, what do they also, our listeners and our viewers, also need to do if they've gotten this far?
Yeah, guys, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, because as Callum mentioned, we've got so much content coming out, the previews, the reviews. We also have an NRL podcast who have been killing it just quietly as well, doing the exact same thing as us every single week. Check out Game Day Squad in the description. Click the link there and you can read up all about what we're trying to do and how we're trying to revolutionise the game. But other than that, keep watching our content.
Just going to say, make sure if you are listening, do send us a message. Hit us up on our Instagram account. We will add you to our Discord and you can get a bit of a sneak peek of what we're doing. So, yeah, appreciate everyone giving us our early support. So,
just remember to ask yourself. Remember to ask yourself, are you getting game day ready?